seconds. See if it works. It works. It works. It works. Welcome, YouTube. Yeah, let me explain your 5-minute late. I was ready to go at 1:48, but I don't like starting that early. I want to wait until 6:50. You know, for many Sundays, I tried to start right on the dot, but you can't start 2 live streams at once. And it's happened. It did actually happen last week, and I think it was the first time it happened. I mean, we've had times before where we were only like a few seconds late, like 5 seconds, which is not a big deal. You can't start right on the dot. There was one time I started a few seconds early at 6:49, and it allowed one live stream to start on time while the other was a few seconds late. So you can never start both of them right on the dot, right at 6:50 sharp. But I have started both of them at 6:50 before, just not fit 6:50 0 seconds. Anyway, I was ready to go at 6:48, and then just waiting on the seconds, until 6:49, staring at my clock when there was the 10 seconds left, the 10, before the New Year's, right? 10, 9, right when it was on that point, I started to go live. And YouTube says, how live streams work is that when you set up your live stream, the last thing you push is go live on your settings. And then your YouTube loads and it says it's going live, but it hasn't started your recording yet. It's still going. And then it finally says you're live, and that's when you know you're on the air. But it just kept saying going live, going live. It didn't say you're live. It just kept saying going live. Last time I tried that, last time I was just like, oh, I'm probably just live. I won't worry about it. I spent 10 minutes talking to Facebook, and I took those 10 minutes out of the YouTube version, by the way. So, that live stream, if you had watched it, you would have probably never noticed. But I talked for 10 minutes on Facebook only to find out YouTube was never going live to begin with. And then I then decided to start all over, and not on Facebook, but on YouTube, and repeat everything I said, causing our live stream to start late because, we only have 10 minutes until the show starts at 7. And so, that caused us to not start till 7:15 to repeat myself for another 10 minutes and then go 5 minutes longer. Anyway, that was bad, and I didn't want that to happen again tonight. So when I saw the going live, I gave it 30 seconds, and then I was like, okay, that's it. I'm going to start the Facebook live stream, but I'm going to keep the Facebook live stream live. I'm going to start the Facebook live stream, but I'm going to reset YouTube and reset the live stream, which for Facebook, I can start a live stream in 30 seconds. It's pretty quick setup. YouTube has a lot of settings it wants you to go through and stuff. Like, do you want to enable live chat? Yes, I do. Do you want to add a title? Yes, of course. Like Facebook, you don't have to add a title. It has one for you. YouTube, you have to add a title, add a thumbnail. There's a lot of things. YouTube takes a few minutes while Facebook only takes a few seconds. So anyway, I had to reset the entire live stream, and again, it took 5 minutes. So that's why you guys are 5 minutes late. And I just spent 3 minutes talking about that. This is everything I said to Facebook. So again, I still repeated myself, but but it's better than what we've seen worse. It's better than talking for 10 minutes and then realizing YouTube's not going. So, well, it doesn't matter because it's now 6:58. That's the blessing for starting 10 minutes early, is if you have technical issues, you can still start at 7. So instead of trying to talk for 10 minutes, let's just try to still stay on schedule. We're going to start once upon a time in about a minute and a half, so stick around for that. I already have my episode ready, by the way, so I hope you have yours. If you're using the Disney Plus version, your timestamp should be 44 minutes and 6 seconds. Make sure, and it's season 4, episode 15. Make sure you have that episode ready to watch with me. Season 4, episode 15, and it's 44 minutes and 6 seconds. So, remember, we do watch recaps on these episodes. Unless it's a 2-hour episode, then we want to treat it as one episode, right? And if it's a 2-parter, we don't want to listen to the recap for part 2. But there's no 2-parters tonight. So yes, we will watch the recap. So make sure you're not accidentally watching it from the beginning of the episode. You're watching it from the beginning of the recap. So anyway, 44 minutes, 6 seconds. If you're not on Disney Plus and you're watching DVD, or you're watching it on Hulu, it's probably something different. Just make sure you're rewinding. It's at 0 seconds when we push play. Just for a note here, Facebook has been on for 9 minutes and YouTube's only been on for 5. So, Facebook's about 4 minutes ahead. Um, yeah, 4 minutes and 30 seconds. All right. We are now it's 7. I was gonna say it's 6:59. We're 1 minute away, but right as I said that, it changed. The clock just changed. So we're starting right now, people. 7 o'clock right now. All right. Hopefully your live streams I mean live stream. Hopefully your Once Upon a Time episode is at 0. Season 4, episode 15. Remember, I always do a countdown for these things. But don't push play when I say 1. Push play after I say that. I usually say 3, 2, 1 now. And now is when you push play. So when I say now, we'll all push play at the same time. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, now. Yeah. They're looking for the author. They August once took Henry's book apart, and they want to know if he knows more about the author. But since he's a little boy again, he doesn't know anything. Snow White wants Regina. Snow White wanted Regina to go undercover as a villain to find out what these Queens of Darkness are up to. And it's because of Snow White and Charming that Maleficent lost her child. So, lots of mysteries to be resolved tonight. First of all, Evil Queen's going back to the dark side. She was once an evil queen, became a good queen, and now she's going undercover. And even though just undercover, who knows if she'll actually join them. And remember, this is the part of the show where they change it up a little bit. So instead of villains dying and doing one villain at a time, we're doing multiple villains, and some of them are coming back from the dead. So expect more coming back from the dead in the future. So if you thought you were saying goodbye, your final goodbye to past villains of past seasons, think again, because they might make a cameo appearance. They might come back from the dead for literally, or yeah, or they'll just come back in flashbacks. Maleficent being the first. Do you think they're gonna kill her again? Is she gonna be in dragon form? Who knows? Regina is being really good at being undercover. She's acting very evil like. Good job for her. Wouldn't want to be a undercover cop for sure. I hate joining bad guys. Even though it's just to find out what they're up to and eventually get them arrested in jail. I just don't want to luckily I don't want to be a cop. That's not a career I'm going after. Our thumbnail today is a fire tree, a tree on fire. Woo! Tree on fire. I should talk softer. I forget. I talk too loud. Shh. Man, my hair's kind of a little bit of a mess. I'm getting my second dose on Tuesday, by the way. So it should be a little more wider, just like Quilla's hair. And we're gonna see more characters on the show with white hair in the future. And I'm hoping to have a little touch of blue. Snow White's won a lot of horse races in her youth. Everyone knows Maleficent turns into a dragon. Why is that a surprise? This is back when Regina was trained by Rumpelstiltskin to learn magic, but before she became evil. She wants to get revenge on Snow White, and she's growing impatient on Rumple. Regina's impatient about getting her revenge. Okay, clearly she's mad at Snow White for spilling her secret, so she's somewhat evil, but she hasn't become the fully evil queen yet. She's, she hasn't even learned. This is the episode where she learns how to use magic. I mean, I know we kind of already knew how she used magic when she put her mother in Wonderland, but that was just one time. How does she constantly control it, and how does she learn how to use it constantly and not just when she needs it the most? She'll, this is the episode where she learns how to pull out hearts. And well, actually, we've already had that episode where she learns how to pull out hearts. This is the episode where she learns how to make a fireball. Anyway, the point is the evil queen didn't just learn magic once. She learned it multiple times, and it took over her probably years before she was able to be as evil as she was when she cast the dark curse that took everyone to the real world and caused this series to happen. Emma had no idea Regina was going undercover, so this is a shock for Emma. An hour ago, Regina was supposed to come in an hour ago. Hmm. Wow, the Queens of Darkness really have something planned for Regina. They want to see if she's actually wanting to go back evil. Her cover might be blown if she doesn't do all these evil deeds they want her to do. It's going to be hard because Regina's been good for so long. She doesn't want to do evil. She doesn't want to choose the wrong, but she's going to have to if she wants to prove the Queens of Darkness that she's on their side. Again, don't want to play undercover cop because that sometimes means you might want to. That sometimes means that if you're going undercover, you're gonna have to do some bad things to prove yourself, so that way your cover's not blown. And there's a point where you have to put a line between the law and going undercover. If they tell you to do something that's too bad, then I guess it's better to blow your cover than it is to break the law. Oh no, you're gonna get crushed by a train. Hurry, Regina. Hurry, Regina. Regina, see, she hasn't been evil for so long that when something evil comes along, she gets scared. But she doesn't want to admit it because otherwise then her cover's blown. So she's gonna be like, let's get out of here. But then save herself with the line and go do some real trouble. Nice save, Regina. Belle and Henry bonding. Woo! Son and grandmother. Grandmother and son grandson. Sorry. Grandson and grandmother. Grandmother and grandson. Except Belle doesn't like being called grandma. Remember at the end of the Frozen arc? She prefers just Belle. Some people don't like being called grandma. So they call them granny or not granny, nanny. Or just call them by their name, I guess. According to Once Upon a Time. That doesn't seem appropriate. Henry's trying to find the author and eating donuts while he's doing it anyway. Emma and Hook. Hook wants to go on a date with Emma when Emma's worried about Regina. How funny. Hook. Emma's in the middle of a crisis right now. Give her a break. That didn't even happen to Regina. She's fine. She's been evil before. She's but then again, it's been a long time. Maybe that's why they're worried about her because she's not used to it anymore. She's just because she's done it before doesn't mean she's not brave enough to do it again. They burnt the police car. Great. Next time. Nope, nope, nope. They're hiding Rumpelstiltskin. That's who they're hiding. They don't know Rumpelstiltskin is back. No, they don't know Rumpel's back. Hmm. Last time you went to Maleficent. This time Maleficent will come to you. Interesting. Connecting the flashback to the present. Regina going to get Maleficent's help. Maleficent's going to get Regina's help. Hmm. So yeah, Regina accomplished nothing, and yeah, her cover. I mean, it's still going good. It's not blown, but the Queens of Darkness didn't spoil any plans to her. She just spent all night proving herself, burning police cars and almost killing each other on the train tracks. That's her everyone's idea of fun, apparently. Burning, drinking, and destruction. Hmm. Yeah, that sounds like fun for villains. And as far as this flashback's concerned, Maleficent wants Regina to try to light a fireplace and see how struggling she is lighting a fireball. She can't even do a fireball yet. That's where we are in her flashback story. It's kind of pathetic, but it will do, Maleficent says. Yeah. Now, this is the kind of Maleficent that we saw in season one. The one who was kind of relaxed. She wore actually more purple, but when they brought her back for this arc, it was like now she's wearing all the Disney version stuff. What happened to her old stuff? Yeah, not exactly. You look like a lazy person who doesn't have any power. One of my headphones is not working, and it's the one in the ear that doesn't have a headphone. If you can see my screen, let me think. Let's see. Right, left. My left ear. It's my left ear. Um, sorry. Had to think of my rights and lefts for a second. My right ear fell out, and I didn't almost hear anything out of the left ear. So I was like, okay, switch earbuds. I know it's better to probably have both in, but one keeps falling out, and I'm like, well, if I can only have one earbud in, then it has to be the one that's working. I already had breakfast. Maleficent says she. Oh, she's kicking Regina out. She doesn't want to train Regina. She's not interested. But luckily, she didn't eat Regina and eat all her bones because yeah, she hasn't turned into a dragon for years, it sounds like, and she's kind of out of power. But that's why she said, lucky for you, I already had breakfast. Take a have her up. Pain always makes you stronger. That actually might be true, but not in the way you guys are saying it. Pain. Mhm. Funny how Rumpel says the war. Everyone's gonna have to pick a side for the war that's about to start, and it's the war of good versus evil, and where villains get their happy endings, and tonight they're gonna throw the first punch. So Oh, you had someone taken from you too? That means Maleficent lost a love too. Every sounds like a lot of villains on this show are only evil because they lost a love due to a princess, whether that's Snow White or Aurora. Find another soulmate. Yeah, Robin Hood. That's what she should have done actually. That's probably it. She should have taken Maleficent's advice. Yep, because I mean, Rumpel did mention the tree on fire that was there for a half a century. Maleficent's pretty old, older than Regina herself. Yeah, she is from the movie Sleeping Beauty. After all, that makes sense. Maleficent needs her sleep. Pricking fingers on people, having people prick their fingers on a spinning wheel. Regina's smart. Regina's smart. I don't think she's gonna take those pills from Maleficent. Villains, villains eat drugs. It's probably true. This is the first time Regina's finding out, where they're after the author as well. The secret is that Rumpel's back. Honestly, there's nothing big about that. It's time for the heroes to find out. They brought the whole charming softball team and their pirate mascot. This is a sports joke. They brought the whole football team. Emma is the sheriff. She is the police force. You know, if anything goes wrong, she can always walk in with a gun and be like, "Put your hands up." Honestly, being undercover does not sound fun. Pretending to be on the wrong side just to figure out what they're planning. It's like teaming up with Satan to find out what his plans are and then reporting to Heavenly Father about it. That's crazy. the undercover cops is a real job, people. And sometimes that could put your life on the line, especially if your cover's blown. Wow, Maleficent's very powerful to make a car drive by itself and make it a little scary like. Yep. Yeah, Regina doesn't trust Cruella at all. Follow the speed limit. She is the mayor. She wants to make sure everyone lives by the law, even the villains. So yes, she's gonna take the wheel, of course, and they're gonna go steal something, or should I say someone? Belle and Will Scarlet going on a date. Assing. Will Scarlet, what happened to Anastasia? Go back to her. We're way past Wonderland by this point. Go back to her. Chocolate cake sounds yummy though. Uh, that seems suspicious. Hook and Bell. Hook and Bell. I don't think there's something suspicious about the Hook and Bell, and I know what it is. See, Hook and Bell are Hook is pulling Bell away from her date just to go hide a dagger or something. But why would Hook do a thing like that? I mean, anybody, Emma Snow and Charming can go up to Belle and try to find and hide the dagger. Why would Hook have any? Why would Hook have any interest in the dagger? Yeah, okay, that's why. Rumpel wants to hide his own dagger, but in order to do that, he has to disguise as somebody, and Hook and pirates are good at hiding treasure, so it's easy to target and disguise as Hook. Oh yeah, you guys don't know that yet. I'm sorry for spoiling that part. Hook and Rumpel's disguising as Hook right now. Pinocchio. So Regina's stuck. She doesn't want to go there, and the thing they're trying to steal is Pinocchio. They're trying to steal someone, and that's a child. Stealing like a 10-year-old Pinocchio child, and he's a real boy, by the way, not wooden. And yeah, and Regina doesn't want to do it, but if she doesn't, then Maleficent's going to do something to her. So she has a choice to make, whether kidnap Pinocchio to save her cover or possibly get killed alive. And in flashback, we see Maleficent trying to get her fire back, and it doesn't work. Oh, it does work. It does work. Okay. Not sure. She's in pain. Maleficent's in pain after gathering all that fire. Yeah, she's in pain after grabbing all that fire and putting it in her mouth. I mean, when they were working with Rumpelstiltskin to grab a curse, she did the same thing to the fire that was protecting it. Eating fire must be hard. Aurora's father is coming to arrest Maleficent. Unfortunately, she can't turn into a dragon, so she couldn't turn into a dragon after all. Oh well. Now her and Regina are arrested. In the flashback. Evil Queen and Maleficent are arrested. Wow, Pinocchio hasn't seen Regina. Pinocchio is backing out because he hasn't seen Regina since she yelled at him. And Marco's like, "Is everything all right?" And Regina knocks them out with the sleeping spell. And now she's on the urge of kidnapping Pinocchio. This seems tough. Emma comes in as the police force. Yeah, there's three queens of darkness. There's three of them, and one of you, Regina. You can't protect a child. You're not responsible for a child's safety. That's hard. Emma even knows that Snow and Charming are not being good parents, and they're lying to her. And Regina's trying to persuade her that only the villains are keeping secrets. And Regina knows that Snow and Charming did something to Maleficent's child. Regina knows about Snow White and Charming's secret. So Regina's trying to honor Snow and Charming. Now, Emma agrees with Regina's plan. She talked it out. We're talking about a child's safety. It's not safe to take him with the villains, you know? And honestly, if Regina didn't have a redemption arc, it would not be safe to put Pinocchio with Regina. Yeah. It's good to have you back. Maleficent says, "Well, she's not really back. She's not evil." Mhm. And if Emma sees something she doesn't like, she's gonna come in blazing. So that's the deal. She didn't like this at first. She didn't like the idea of taking Pinocchio and kidnapping him. But because she just wanted to sneak him out back. But Maleficent can turn into a dragon, so it is easy to fear her. So Regina's plan is to watch Pinocchio, and if they try to harm him, they will find their way out. She'll fight her way out. But it's one of them, and it's three of them against one of her. So honestly, you need backup if you want to protect the child. Flashback form. Regina's using her fireballs to kill some guards. Regina's using fireballs. Unfortunately, it's not working. One fireball wasn't strong enough. But luckily, Maleficent's able to finally turn into a dragon and save Regina from being harmed. Run! Yes, Maleficent is back, of course, as a full on dragon. Burning. All of the king's soldiers alive. Okay, back to the present. Regina dropped her phone so Emma wouldn't follow her. Ha 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 ha. Smart. But I don't think Regina's gonna go back to the dark side, as I was teasing about. That's just what the trailer said, and I thought she was gonna go back evil too, but not really. But yeah, Emma's worried now about Regina because she's like, "What are you doing?" There's Aurora. Remember her from season 2? This is before, the present. This, this is when Maleficent put her under a sleeping curse, and Philip doesn't wake her up until the curse breaks. I mean, the real world curse. Remember in season 2 that we thought it was a flashback, but it was in it turned out presently that Philip finally woke Aurora from her 100-year long sleeping curse. And we're like, wow. Even Regina was still alive back then. Yet Prince Philip turned into a fire lion, which Belle defeated and turned back into a human. Just some nods to earlier seasons in case you don't remember what's going on. Um, Maleficent turned Philip into a fire lion, and then Sleeping Beauty, and then put Aurora in a sleeping curse, which she doesn't wake up until present day season 2. And her and Philip, a wraith goes after them. Philip sacrifices his life. They bring Philip back from the dead. I guess they have brought someone back from the dead before Maleficent, but Philip's not a villain, so I'm still right. First villain back from the dead is Maleficent. Anyway, and then Snow White and Emma get accidentally fall through a portal to the Enchanted Forest, and they get framed for Philip's murder before they bring him back alive. And so anyway, you remember just a little idea of where this flashback's coming from. You know, takes place about 100 years before season 2, and and Regina was a young adult, so she's lived a long time actually. And mathematically, it wasn't 100 years. It was really 60 years, really, because you have the 30 years of the curse, and then you have about 20 years between that flashback and when the curse was cast. So it's not really. It's only a half 100. In the real fairy tale, Sleeping Beauty was asleep for 100 years. In the Disney version, she was only asleep for like a couple days, or like just a night. And then Once Upon a Time, I guess it's about 50. I guess they make it different in every version of fairy tale you watch. Anyway, we were long past that scene. I don't know why I'm still talking about it. Belle Belle is using the dagger to force the Dark One to come face her, and to prove to see if he's in Storybrooke, and if it doesn't work, that means he's in New York still, where the dagger can't control him in the real world. Unfortunately, plot twist, right? Rumpelstiltskin was disguising as Hook all along, and when she commanded the Dark One to face her, it was Hook looking straight at her, and I'm surprised Belle didn't realize it. Hook smiles. Rumpelstiltskin. Rumpelstiltskin all along, disguising as Hook. Rumple also disguising as Hook as he comes back to Belle later on. Hook doesn't do oaths like that. We must promise never to talk about hiding this dagger and spending time ever again to anyone else. You know, if that was really Hook, though, that'd kind of be inappropriate to touch Belle on the heart and Belle to touch Hook on the heart. That seems a little weird of a pirate oath. I don't think that's a pirate oath. I think it's just Rumple trying to get back to his ex-wife without revealing himself. And he's asking about Will, so you can kind of tell that if this was really Hook, if I was Belle, I'd be like, "Why would you be asking questions like this? Since when do you care about me and my dating life?" You know, only Rumple would care about that. You are so Hook asks, or Rumple disguising as Hook asks, so you're over Rumpelstiltskin?" And Belle's like, "I don't know if I can be over Rumple completely, but Will makes me smile." So she loves Will, probably enough to have a romantic relationship with him, but she can't fully move on with Rumple quite yet, apparently. A lot of people call this relationship toxic, Rumpelstiltskin and Belle, because Rumple always chooses power over his love, and Belle can't ever seem to move on from him anyway. So it's like if you break her heart, you're bound to keep her anyway. Not as of right now, though. They're broken up for right now, but she can't get over him. Get over him. He was a bad beast. Kept it. He chose power over you. He's addicted to power. Hmm. Rumple just wanted to make sure to see if Belle moved on or not. Regina borrowed a sleeping curse from Maleficent and caused the pony to go to sleep. Rumple meant for Regina to learn from Maleficent, but it turns out Maleficent learned from Regina. But Regina still learned something. Regina learned that Rumple is she sees she's already had a teacher, Rumple, who's already doing a great job. Yeah, or for another 100 years. Yep. The evil queen put a pony under a sleeping curse. Hmm. That's good. Regina's like, I'm ready to listen to your lessons, Rumple. No matter how long it takes. She's willing to she learned this episode flashback was Regina learning to be patient with her revenge. A villain's plan can't just be rushed. It has to be patiently thought out. And, and Rumple's a good teacher, and we know she keeps Rumple as a teacher because of of future and past episodes. So it's like she would never give up Rumple to be with Maleficent. And Rumple reveals himself to Maleficent. I mean, Rumple reveals himself to Maleficent already knew Rumple was in town. Blah. Regina reveal Rumple. I can't talk anymore. Rumple reveals himself to Regina. Eh. Wonder if there's any comments. I'm gonna check the chats really quick. I realize it's been a while. Hi Ben from my mom. Okay, 14 minutes ago. Rumble says sometimes you have to fall very far into the darkness to finally see the light. Hmm. Something's fishy about that statement. Yes, you're on the same side. Both the good guys and the villains want to look for the author, but for different reasons. Same plan, but they're different. One wants to make villains win, others want to just change their destiny, which I guess can kind of be the same thing. Regina wants a happy ending and she was a villain, but she repented, unlike these other villains. So that's the difference between the evil plan and the good plan here. The repented people want to find the author to change their happy ending, but the unrepentant also want that. And that's what the evil plan is. August is back. Welcome back, August W. Booth. And number W is short for Wayne. And normally, from what we learned in season 1 of the show, it's usually for serial killers, but that is not August. August is not a serial killer. He just happens to have the middle name Wayne. Maybe because he loves it so much. It's not his real name. But anyway, yes, hang on. I want to talk for a second. I'll try not to be longer than a minute. But push the next episode so that we're ready. And the timestamp, if you start before the recap, 43 minutes and 49 seconds for Disney Plus. Anyway, so as we were watching at the end there, Regina Rumpel was about. Regina had the uh, had the get. How do you say it? Regina had the um Regina had the thought that maybe Rumpel was going to torture Pinocchio. Like she said, she was prepared to protect him and run out of there. But, you know, as she tried to stop him, Rumpel was like, "Are you really the evil queen or have you gone soft?" And Regina steps aside for a second, hoping that Rumpel's not going to harm little boy Pinocchio. And just to make Regina feel more comfortable and not have to do anything drastic like blowing her cover, Rumpel explains that we're not going to torture the little boy. We're going to turn him back into an adult. So if you're confused, Pinocchio, um, in Once Upon a Time, you know, there's the evil queen's curse that trapped everyone in the real world, right? That was about 30 years ago. It was also the time Emma was born. Emma and Pinocchio were the only ones who escaped from the curse. Pinocchio was 7, Emma was 0. Emma's 30, which makes Pinocchio, he would have been 37 years old, right? He's a very middle aged adult. But in season 2, when we had Greg and Tamara, do you remember them? They were the ones who were trying to destroy magic. They were from the real world and they wanted to try to expose the real world to the fairy tales. Anyway, on the arrival of Greg and Tamara, and as we were trying to stop them, right? Pinocchio had some history with Tamara, and he wanted to tell all of the fairy tale characters the truth, including himself. He's a Pinocchio, right? If he lies, he turns back to a wooden boy, right? He has to be he has to be truthful, brave, and unselfish. So anyway, to be truthful, brave, and unselfish, and to save him from turning back into wood. Well, he did turn back into wood because he lied a lot in his life. But he was about to lose his life completely. He was still alive as a wooden boy, but he was about to lose a wooden man. I mean, he was an adult, right? He was about to lose his life when all of a sudden he was about to tell the truth and repent of his ways. But by the time he did, Tamara shot him and killed him, and with a taser. So anyway, that led the Blue Fairy to turn him back into a real boy, but instead of a real 37-year-old man, he turned back into a 7-year-old. So the reason why I know he was a 7-year-old is because that's what they said when he arrived in the real world, which wasn't too long after he turned into a real boy. So anyway, if anything, he was at least no more than 8. Anyway, anyway, so anyway, it was sad because he lost all his memories of growing up. You know, imagine you turned back into a kid and you lost all your memories of being an adult or your graduation from high school or college. you lost it all, and you not only turned back into a kid and had to relive elementary, junior high, high school, college, and relive your life, but you forgot that that you lived in the first place. Anyway, point is, Pinocchio's a little kid and forgot he was ever an adult. And now 2 seasons later, we see Pinocchio again, who doesn't remember who he was, and he doesn't know anything about the author like he used to, which made Regina upset a little bit, right? That was the end of last week. Now Pinocchio. Now they turned Pinocchio back into a man, an adult man with his memories intact. So now he's back for real, and yeah, now he remembers everything. So this is great. Now Regina can get more information about the author from him. But anyway, all this time, all they had to do was steal a fairy wand and turn him back into a real man. Anyway, yeah, that was pretty much this episode. Regina going undercover, pretending to be the evil queen again, but not really. In the beginning of season 4, she was almost turning evil for real after Emma brought Marion back. But now she's only pretending to be evil to find out what these villains are up to. And yeah, she doesn't want to blow her cover, so sometimes that causes her to make evil decisions. But she is trying her best to stay good and find out what the villains are up to. So luckily they didn't harm Pinocchio, but they did turn him back into a man, and Regina still promises to protect him. Anyway, so yeah, so that's where we are at. And we also learned how Regina developed a fireball, which I don't think was a necessary flashback, but it was good to see Maleficent, right? How she got her fire back from a fiery tree, and how she got, how she lost and gained her dragon abilities back. So that was a good episode. Now we're moving on to the next one. Sorry, that was way more than a minute. But we are, for starting on time and only wasting 5 minutes, we're still on schedule. We'll finish this right. This next episode will be done right at 8:30, and then if we start the next one and finish it by 9:15, we're all good. All right. Timestamp at 0, everybody. I'm assuming you have it. Sorry if I'm talking too loud. I'll try to lower down my voice. But 43 minutes, 49 seconds. That's Disney Plus version. Otherwise, just be at 0 seconds, and because we're gonna watch the recap together. Okay, I'm gonna start the countdown. Just want to see who's watching really quick. All right. Okay. All right. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Now. Villains is gonna get a happy ending. Just so you know. One of the villains. And Regina does not count. So take Regina out of your guesses. You have Rumple, Quilla, Ursula, and Maleficent. Who's going to get a happy ending? The title sequence is Ursula, standing in the background of all those trees. And Hook did break her heart, so we're going to get a little background on that. Maybe I already said too much. Let's do this here. We keep Pan happy. Wow, we haven't heard a reference from Peter Pan in like a season. How cool is that? In fact, the last time I know the show so well from front to back. Let me tell you, the last time, now we know the last time Pan was on the show was season 3, episode 11. But the last time they talked about him was when Bellfire died in the second half of season 3, when he was joking about almost marrying Wendy, who was the nemesis of his great grandfather Peter Pan. Kind of be a funny thing, funny family connection there. Anyway, he mentioned that in a conversation, and that was the last time we ever heard or talked about Peter Pan or Rumple's father. Season 3, episode 15 was it? Yeah. So now we're on season 4, episode 16. So season 4, get it? Season 3, 15. Season 4, 16. Not just a whole season later, but a whole season plus an episode. And Hook's like, we're gonna keep Pan happy. This flashback was back when Hook was stuck on Neverland, and Pan, and he wanted to get revenge on the crocodile, and Neverland is where he went to keep his youth so that he could find out how to defeat him. without growing old and dying. Mhm. Ursula was once a mermaid. Can you believe that? And when you watch The Little Mermaid, you know she was always an octopus. But do you believe that before the events of The Little Mermaid, she was actually a mermaid? Anyway, it's kind of funny. We're kind of watching a Little Mermaid episode, but it's not about Ariel. It's about the sea witch, the villain of Ariel. You're missing out on all the fun, despite all that singing you're doing, Ursula. Pinocchio is definitely scared of wood because wood burns, and if he used to be made of wood, he could turn into wood again and be burned to death. I mean, humans can burn to death too. They don't have to be wood, but wooden. But hey, at least they're doing this to an adult Pinocchio, not a child one. That'd be a little violent for the show. Oh yeah, yeah. I remember. Okay, it wouldn't be the first time Pinocchio lied in Rumple's face. Remember in season one when Pinocchio pretended to be Rumple's son? That wasn't the first time he lied. Regina still doesn't know everything that the villains are planning. And Rumple's like, well, if you want to know more, you have to do more than kidnapping and burning a couple planks of wood. You have to do way more evil than that. Regina's kind of stuck. Rumple's gonna go to Pinocchio's place to gather his research on the author because Pinocchio told him where it was. In the meantime, while the Queens of Darkness are distracted guarding Pinocchio, Regina's sending a message to the heroes. Regina's coming to send a message because the heroes don't know that Pinocchio August is back, like Pinocchio adult version. Regina's talking through Snow White's body. That's creepy. Now Regina's telling all the heroes. Snow White, that must have been horrible for you to be taken over. It's like being taken over by another spirit, but not the evil kind. You know, because Regina's not really going evil. She's just trying to keep her cover. See, Belle, they're trying to look for the Dark One dagger, and Belle doesn't know where it is. She thinks Hook has it, and Hook's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't seen it since you made him cross the down line." Well, turns out everyone knows Rumple was disguised as Hook. Hook is so mad right now that Rumple disguised as him that he wants to kill Rumple himself with the dagger. And if Hook kills Rumple with the dagger, he becomes the new Dark One. We don't want to see that happen, do we? Or will we? Nothing. Forget I said that. Seeing Hook as the Dark One, that's kind of a foreshadow. you might want to. You might want to I might send a warning when I finish this episode. I mean, when I finish this live stream, excuse me. When I finish this live stream, let me see how long it's been in the live stream, so I know exactly where it's at. Around a one. Okay, it's probably been a half a minute since I said that, so maybe a 1 minute and 1 hour and minutes. So I'll when I send out the links, I'll make sure to say, hey, when you get to 1 hour and 7 minutes, mute my live stream for about a minute. I know you don't need to mute it now, but because I spoiled something very huge for season 5, I would just skip the whole minute, and now it just barely changed to a minute and 8. So yeah, I'll put a note when I send the links out for those watching live. I'm sorry for saying that, but Hook mentioned about killing Rumple, and it's not a spoiler that he would turn into the Dark One if he killed Rumple, but the idea of Hook becoming the Dark One honestly was kind of a spoiler. Okay, now that I said that again, I'm gonna stop. Okay, I'm gonna put a note. Minute and 1 hour, 7 minutes to an hour and 9 minutes. Yeah. Okay. The more I talk, the more you'll have to skip. I guess I could cut that out, but then you wouldn't be sync with the episode. Hook. So instead of killing Rumple, Hook wants to try to find Ursula her happy ending. And I'm sorry for talking so long about this. But before Hook decided to help Ursula get her happy ending, um, there was a conversation between Regina and Pinocchio, and and um, and he said the page with the door, that Henry had. Now Regina, Regina. Well, no, Henry still has that page, I think. But he was talking about how that has a clue to where the author is. Just got to find that door. That might not be exactly what it was, but anyway, Pinocchio was trying to give some insight to Regina about the author. That's all. Ursula, in flashback form, is singing. She found a way to turn herself into a human, and she's singing a beautiful song about the sea. Sorry, I had a lot of buzzes on my phone. I'm just going to see if it's anything important. Someone liked my reel. Okay, go. Hook, back when he was an evil pirate, is trying to talk with Ursula. Interesting. When Hook was an evil pirate, Ursula was a good mermaid human. I mean, as all villains say, love is a weapon and love is weakness. And Ursula's father did turn her voice into a weapon, and that's the thing she loves the most. She should sing on opera. She's a great singer. Yep. Even Hook's sharing his revenge with Ursula. He calls Rumple an evil man, and he's not wrong, but Hook is also evil himself. In this flashback, he is. He's been evil himself. A lot of times we see good versus evil, but sometimes it's evil versus evil. And whoever throws the first punch, the other villain wants revenge. Oh, it's so sad. Ugh. Every mermaid story begins with losing parents. Well, losing a mother at least. Because Ariel also lost her mother, and her father was a bit hatred since she had to warm her father's heart when it came to wanting to be a human. Or there's even a Little Mermaid prequel where she couldn't wasn't allowed to sing until she proved her father wrong. The monster you made me. Hook's responsible for Ursula turning into an octopus. Mhm. Hook is smart. Ursula has not touched the ocean since she was banished to the real world, so that was 30 years ago. She's just she's just a little nervous about opening a portal to the Enchanted Forest because she's trying to get Hook's ship back. It's in a bottle. Yep. Your ship is shrunken inside a bottle. That's funny. All Ursula had to do was touch the ocean with her sea leg. She has 8 fins, right? Octopuses have 8 fins. She used one of her fins to touch the ocean, and it brought back the ship in a bottle. That's pretty small, actually. And obviously, the king of the sea kidnapped Hook in the flashback. The Sea King enchanted it to to take away her voice. The seashell. Remember from Little Mermaid when Ursula used the seashell to take Ariel's voice? Well, it looks like uh the king and father of Ursula before Ariel's dad was king of the ocean. Um um yeah. Anyway, Ursula's dad was once the king of the ocean, and he enchanted a shell to take away his own daughter's voice. Sea King made a deal with Hook, and he can either see and the Sea King has squidding, something that can paralyze Rumple, and almost kill him. And if he wants it, he has to show Ursula how evil humans can be. Will Scarlet did spend a lot of time in Wonderland. We've seen the show. But the question is, why isn't he still there with his wife? Regina's walking in the middle of the forest, and who knows what she's up to. Robin Hood? We haven't seen Robin Hood since the Frozen arc ended. It's been like what, 2 weeks? Crazy, he's back. Oh, they're back together. What? As Regina's kissing Robin, there's another person coming? The evil queen. Regina? Regina and the Regina and the evil queen? Wow. Okay, that was just a nightmare. If you were confused, Regina was watching herself burn Robin with a fireball. And Regina found Robin. They were back together. They kissed, but then Evil Queen came with a fireball, who was a separate identity than Regina. That's weird. That was a weird dream. It's like watching it's like having a dream of your good self and your evil self fighting each other. You're two, as two separate identities. That's weird. You wouldn't want to see evil me. That's for sure. So Rumpel found a spell that can redo his real boy self, turn him back into wood. And anytime he lies to these villains, it only gets worse. Let's see if we can pull this puppet string. Ha ha ha. Strings. Let's see if we can pull these puppet strings. That's evil right there. By lying, will make his nose grow. If you've seen the Pinocchio movie, I'm getting notifications. Let's see. Got more likes. Hmm. From the One Fun Time Marathon. Okay, cool. And YouTube? Nothing much. No one really comments on YouTube. How frustrating that is. Okay. Now, Pinocchio is turned back into wood, and then he turns back into a human again. But guess he has the wood. I guess if Rumble did say it was temporary, so I guess he only turned into wood for a minute. So okay, the potion. See. So the potion did turn him back into wood for a few minutes, but then he turned back into a real man. And the what the potion is supposed to do is that even though it's temporary wood, it's supposed to bring back the lie detector. So if he lies, his nose grows, just like the movie. And he lied about not knowing that, obviously. He didn't know anything. It's lying. It's going longer. Pinocchio remembers gold from season one. Yep, and Regina knows about the door. Mhm. Regina, you almost blew your cover there. You knew about the door all along, and you kept it from the villains. That was probably not a smart move. But luckily, Rumple's not here. Regina in the fire because she kept her cover. She kept her cover by um by saying that she gave the book to Henry, and and Rumple knows she loves Henry. So anyway, that's my computer cord. Here for works upstairs. I never took it to my room. Sorry, Brian likes to interrupt live streams because his phone's dead, and he assumed I took it to my room when I didn't. Coelho will be the guard dog apparently. Ursula's busy with Hook. Coelho will be the guard dog, and Maleficent and Regina will go get the page of the book. Throw it in the ocean. Oh yeah, get your shit back. Oh, anyway, Rumple knows that Regina loves Henry and wouldn't harm him even as a villain. So Rumple takes her lies and accepts them. Regina, I don't know how long she can keep her cover, honestly. Hmm. Looks like Hook doesn't want to give Ursula's voice away, and decides to let Ursula sail on his boat with him despite her father's threatening wishes. Pan's servant forever. Well, wait a second. If he's trapped as Pan's prisoner, how did he get off Neverland to go to the Enchanted Forest to meet Ursula? Because Pan, as if you remember from season 3, you can only leave Neverland with Pan's permission, so he had to have Pan's permission somehow. Think like a pirate, huh? So yeah, Regina's kind of in a pickle though because Rumple's making her go with him to go steal a page from Henry's book. Which I guess to a little kid well, he's not really little anymore. He's almost a teenager at this point in the series, but he probably doesn't understand about Regina's undercoverness, so it's gonna be hard for sure to get that page from him without being evil mother. Come on, Ursula. Ursula. Oh, she almost got her voice back. Almost. Didn't work. Wow. Wow, Hook's about to kill Ursula with a gun. Oh no, my goodness. Never go against a woman with 8 hands, especially when you only have one. And Hook throws him in the sea to drown. I mean, Ursula throws him in the sea to drown. When you're up against a sea witch with 8 hands, you have no chance. Luckily, Ariel makes a cameo appearance and saves Hook's life. Yep, thank him later. Thank Ariel later when you're awake. We haven't seen Ariel since season 3. Ouch. Ariel slapped Hook. That's protect. So if you remember, Arendelle frozen. Hmm. So just to kind of recap this conversation, or remember, in season 3 there was a year jump, and in that year Hook kind of like, went back to his old ways of being an evil pirate and and killed Blackbeard before he could have a chance to tell Ariel where Eric was. And so it was all Hook's fault for choosing a ship over Eric. And so, and remember Ariel tried to get Ariel tried to give Hook a slap in the face for choosing a ship over true love, but that was the Wicked Witch in disguise. And so now we have the real Ursula giving Hook a slap in the face. And then the reason why Ariel's trapped in that water bottle uh, was because when Blue and Hook traded his ship to get back to Emma in season 3 again, Blackbeard terrorized many people, including people from Arendelle just recently. And Elsa trapped Blackbeard's ship inside a little bottle, but Ariel got swept away in the magic, and Elsa didn't know, which is why she didn't free her. And so anyway, now Hook let her out, and so he kind of returned the favor after ruining Ariel's happy ending, which by the way he didn't, and Ariel lived happily ever after with her prince. But anyway, you know, this is a way of making it up to that by letting Ariel out of that bottle. So, and then they discussed how they could get Ursula her happy ending, and Ariel has never met Ursula before because to her, Ursula was a myth. And so, anyway, finding out that the real Ursula was alive and well, he was giving Hook advice about how villains don't get uh, happy endings because they go about it the wrong way when heroes do it the right way, even if it's the same happy ending as someone else. So anyway, sorry. So anyway, to catch us up to speed with what's been going on now in this flashback, um, Hook makes another mistake in his evil piratey days, where again the king of the sea comes and threatens Hook's life and revenge, and Hook is backed in a corner and just decides to take uh, Ursula's voice, and Ursula finds out how evil humans can be, and then Ursula even calls her father evil and swims away. Emma comes in to rescue Pinocchio. Emma and the Charmings. So Emma and Pinocchio have not seen each other since season 2, when Emma didn't know much about her magic. I'm glad I didn't have to wait 20 years to see Pinocchio become an adult again. How funny is that? So I'm glad Rumpel. I guess in some ways it's evil villains doing evil things pay off, like turning a boy into an adult again, and so it saves you 20 years of waiting. So for a parent and a child, you don't want them to grow up too fast. So do not age someone who's never been an adult before. Only who has and has de-aged. Ursula is choking the life out of Snow White, by the way. We passed that part already, but anyway. So Emma's stuck in a predicament. In fact, Ursula, in the other hand, in the flashback, mhm, Ursula was so mad at her father for forcing Hook to take away her voice. Not only does she hate humans, but she hates her mermaid father. Her merman father, excuse me. Plot twist, Ursula is not the real Ursula. Ursula is a god, and um Ursula was just named after her, and she was a very powerful sea witch octopus who could do anything that she wanted, and she was unstoppable. And after her betrayal from after Mermaid Ursula's betrayal from her father, she decided to be exactly like that sea witch goddess by turning herself into a powerful octopus, and that's how she got her 8 legs and became no longer a mermaid. That completes that flashback. Now Hook is back to Captain Hook used Ariel to find Ursula's father, mermaid father, turn him into a human, brought him back here. That's pretty fast. I don't know how they did that in just a few minutes, but yes, mermaids can travel through portals, and Ariel went through him back in like a few seconds, I guess. And now Ursula's father is here to stop Ursula from choking the life out of Snow White. Come on. Listen to your father's persuasion. You do not need to be dark and evil. You can have a happy ending if you forgive your father, Ursula. The one thing, so Ursula's father is repenting and apologizing for taking away Ursula's voice. It was the one thing he had left of her mother's, and he just couldn't bear to hear her voice through Ursula, his daughter. So he took her voice, and so he wouldn't have to have the painful memories of his mother's past, kind of like King Triton, Ariel's father. I'm mixing up the two, but now it's been years. He's found peace, and Ursula's father is apologizing for his sins in the past and returning Ursula's voice, and now wants to leave her in peace, just as I said. Leave her in peace. Now her father was about to leave her in peace because of her evil ways. But then Ursula's like, wait, this is the only thing we have left of our mother, my voice. I want to come back with you. She changed her mind and decided to be good. Yep. Cruella has slipped away to warn Rumpelstiltskin, and now they have to clear out before they get back. Pinocchio's fine. They don't need him anymore. They're rescuing him from Rumpelstiltskin. Hook did help Ursula get her happy ending, but he almost turned back into the evil pirate he once was, doing it until he found Ariel to steer him in the right path. He's telling Emma this. With all this talk of authors in the book, we never discussed one fact on this marathon. Well, we did discuss it actually. Hook was a villain. Hook was a villain. Regina was also a villain, but if we believe the rules of the book, yeah. So remember how Regina lost her happy ending when Robin Hood had to go across the town line? When Robin Hood crossed the town line, not Rumple, even though he did too. Robin Hood crossed the town line before Rumpelstiltskin. When Robin Hood crossed the town line, Regina technically lost her happy ending, and she thought it was because she was a villain. And Hook was also a villain, and if Regina can't have her happy ending, maybe it's only a matter of time before Hook loses his. Now that's something we didn't talk about. If it's true that villains can never have a happy ending, even if they repent, even if they go back on the straight and narrow path. If they can never have a happy ending, there's a chance Hook can lose his with Emma, and his happy ending is Emma Swan, the main character of the show, which is why we keep Hook around. But anyway, protagonist's boyfriend. But anyway, we all know by the end of this season what we're going to learn here is that villains can have happy endings when they repent. But these heroes are on the path of learning that, and they haven't fully learned that yet. So this is why Hook's kind of concerned about his happy ending now, and wants to hopefully get a happy ending from the author as well, but in a good way. These villains want to do it in a bad way. Not Regina and Hook, but the ones who are actually evil, Quilla or Slim Lesson, the villains of this arc, and Rumple. Now Rumple has given Regina the task of taking the uh page that has the door on it. Regina, be careful. You might. Yeah, I think you're on the edge of breaking your cover. Okay, this episode's almost over, but Ursula just revealed the entire plan for the rest of the season, and we'll talk about it when the episode's over. Regina is telling Emma about her dream with Robin Hood and her evil self. Yeah, that's what I thought when I first saw this, and she had that dream. She was worried about becoming her evil self again. hmm I mean, before Emma was the savior, she used to track people down and catch criminals as a Bell's Bonds person. So Regina is asking Emma to track down Robin Hood and get his phone number just to see if he's all right. Because if he's in danger, then maybe Regina has to go save him and his wife Marion and his son Roland. So Pinocchio. So anyway, Pinocchio. Last time he was around, Regina was still kind of the evil queen, and didn't know. And well, he does have his memories as the little boy. Um, the only thing he saw was Regina yelling at him. So just he hasn't known Regina's redemption arc. He missed pretty much all of that. So that's why he's like, "What is she doing here?" Now Regina reveals that she was going undercover, not really being evil. So Pinocchio's sharing all the answers with her. now, August is revealing something about the author. And the reason why his nose didn't grow when he was with Rumpelstiltskin is he didn't know that Henry had the page of the book. So he didn't lie. He just didn't know until now. This is not just an illustration. All right, that's our cliffhanger for this episode. We still got one more to watch. All right. So yes, get your next episode ready, but we're going to talk about two things before we start it. It's not telling me to play the next episode. That's weird. Okay, there it is. Okay. Best laid plans, episode 17. Pause it really quick so we can talk for a second. It's 44 minutes and 5 seconds if you have the Disney Plus version. Anyway, two things we got to talk about. First, and this cliffhanger. August was saying that, because this whole time we known that the author is trapped behind a door. And Regina, Henry, and the Queens of Darkness are all trying to find which door that is. And it's somewhere in Storybrooke. And so anyway, they're trying to figure out which door the page is referencing and, which one has the author behind it. But then Pinocchio, after recovering from his kidnapping gnosis, and laying on the couch in Snow White and Charming's apartment, he reveals, after knowing that Regina is not really evil and stuff, yada yada yada, they have that conversation. He reveals that this is not just an illustration, which is like a picture. It's not just a picture. The author is actually trapped inside that picture, that door. It's a magical door. Remember, Henry's book is magical. In real life, if you have a picture of a door, you can't just open it from the picture, right? It's just a picture. It's not, the door's not actually there. But in fairy tale shows, right, things can be that kind of magical. Anything's possible. So that page is literally a door, and you need to find the key to unlock it. The author is trapped inside. So now you know where the author is. They just got to find the key to unlock that page. There's a little keyhole inside the page, which is pretty much in real life a rip through the paper, but you know how they tried to delusion it, right? Anyway, they put the key inside that little hole in the paper, and it unlocks the magical door. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird to explain, but it's like opening a page, but not in the flipping book kind of way, in the opening door kind of way. Anyway, it's weird. But anyway, if you're watching, obviously you would understand what I'm saying if you're actually watching with us and not just staring at my face. Anyway, the other thing we need to talk about before we start the next episode, even though it's 8:35, and if we don't start now, we won't have 15-minute Q&A. We'll still get at least 10 minutes if I end up talking another 5. But anyway, I won't try to do that, by the way. But anyway, now we have to talk about what Ursula was saying. Ursula, they made a deal. If Hook helps Ursula get her happy ending, then she'll tell them everything of that Rumple's planning. And, because Hook eventually did that, he didn't do it at first. And in fact, he threatened Ursula to hold her and to not hold her end of the deal. No, he threatened Ursula to hold her end of the deal. And Ursula didn't. And almost made Hook drown. Anyway, after being saved by Ariel and getting Ursula's father, that pretty much solved everything. And so Ursula, before wanting to go home with her father, but before leaving, she decided to talk to Hook really quick. She told Hook that Rumple's not just here to make the author write all the happy endings. He's here because of Emma. And Rumple knows this. He knows he can't get everyone's happy endings with the author. So plot twist, even the author can't write everyone's happy endings. And Rumple knows this. He's not wasting his time. He does know this. But, Emma's very powerful. She's the savior. And only she can rewrite happy endings because she's been the only one restoring it to people. She's broke the curse. She defeated Pan. She survived time travel. She's the savior. She's like the star of the show. She's like the centerpiece, right? She holds everything together. Anyway, without her, no one gets happy endings. Anyway, that's the job of the saviors. Anyway, but because she's the only one that can give everyone happy endings, Rumpelstiltskin needs Emma to give happy endings. Now, they don't. Now, at first, you might think, oh, they need to kill Emma in order to make villains win. No, that's not the case. They plan to do something worse to her. And what's worse than death? Turning evil. They want to fill her soul with darkness forever. Meaning, there's no coming back to the light, no redemption. They want to fully turn her dark, evil. That was hinted at in the little teaser trailer I sent you guys before we started this half of the season. So, now you know where we're going with this. It's been revealed in the episodes. It's not a spoiler. So yes, they're planning to turn Emma evil, and that's the only way villains can get their happy endings. Turn Emma evil, and then use the savior blood to as ink to rewrite everyone's happy ending. Anyway, So yes. So anyway, um, so yes, so using the Savior's blood, that's how they're gonna write everyone's have rewrite everyone's happy endings up for. It sounds like sacrilegious, but we're not talking about we're not talking about the Savior. We're talking about Once Upon a Time Fairy Tale Savior here. Anyway, but anyway, yes, that's just kind of how it's going right now. But luckily for this next episode, if you feel a little uncomfortable with what I just said, um, don't worry. This next episode is going to be focused on Snow White and how they gave up. You know their secret about losing Maleficent's child. That's what this episode's about. Um, and so that's what we're going to focus on. Find out what they did to Maleficent's child, and then Emma also finding out the secret. See what she's gonna do, what she's gonna do to her, what she's gonna think of her parents when she finds out that even our most trusted heroes, perfect parents, can make mistakes, right? Sometimes when we're kids, we think our parents are perfect, but really they're just like the rest of us, imperfect mortal beings. So, all right, we're gonna start this episode now. That's only gonna give us 10 minutes of Q&A at the end, but that's okay. Let's get our last episode in for tonight. 44 minutes, 5 seconds, everybody. Let me make sure. Yeah, 44 minutes and 5 seconds if you're watching Disney Plus. Anything else, just make it 0, okay? Just checking again one more time for everything. Everything's in check. Okay. All right. We're going to start the episode in just a second. Okay, here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1, now. Left and lost her child. Yep, the author's trapped inside the book. Flashback. We get a Snow White and Charming episode. We get to find out what they did to Maleficent finally. It's a unicorn. Yep. According to legend, you touch the unicorn's horn and it'll tell you your child's future. Maleficent led him to this. Okay, they both get a vision. Vision 1, Charming. He sees a beautiful baby girl who's very innocent and happy and full of, like, I would say, Christ light. Full of Christ light. It's Christmas season after all, right? The light of Christ. Merry Christmas. How cute is that? Looks like Emma's going to grow up to be a great daughter, a great person, which we kind of have seen over the seasons, besides, every human makes mistakes. But according to Charming, all the baby, their future baby's going to be all right. But Snow White sees a different vision, a good vision and a bad vision. Now you see a teenager Emma. Snow White didn't see baby Emma. Snow White saw teenager Emma. I don't care. Wow, Emma pulls out her heart and crushes it. And this is a teenager child actor, guys. This is the girl who played teenager Emma in the Snow Queen flashback. So 13-year-old Emma pulled out a heart and crushed it. It was just a vision. It didn't really happen. But anyway, and the Once Upon a Time title sequence is the unicorn. Unicorn, if you're pure in heart, that's a different fairy tale. If you're pure in heart, you can touch a unicorn, but not in Once Upon a Time. In Once Upon a Time, anyone can touch a unicorn, but it gives you a good vision or a bad vision of your child's future. I would be very worried about touching that. I don't want to see my child be evil. If anything, my wife can see that. Don't pull out my heart and say you don't care that I'm your father. That's crazy. That's like almost opposite of Star Wars. I don't care. I think Luke at least cared that Darth Vader was his father. A fake page. Perfect. Emma's very good with her magic. Hook knows. Hook knows. Ask Hook. Ask Captain Hook. Hook knows. Ursula told Hook everything. It is true. If they find out, if she blows her cover, then she could die. Queens of Darkness could kill her. Hook is finally telling everybody we don't need Regina to go undercover. You can't unsavior the savior. Henry says. You can't unsavior the savior. That's a good sentence. But Rumple has a way. It creeps up in you. Yep. Yep. You get tempted, and after one temptation, that you go downhill if you fall into it. If if you choose one bad decision, it leads to another, and then another, and then another. Emma thinks she won't go dark, but you never know. You never know. Our protagonist could be the antagonist. Then who's the new protagonist if she becomes the antagonist? Snow and Charming are whispering about their secret, and if they keep their secret any longer, they were told that they had to guide the child towards righteousness to keep her good. But keeping a secret is not a way to keep Emma on the right. It's a way. It's a one way to push her to the wrong. So it's like the longer you keep the secret, the more chances Emma could turn evil. Even telling her now, she's probably going to be mad that you kept that secret from her. Cruella feels like she aged a decade waiting for you. That's funny. You look older than you should be. Well, we already knew this from the end of last episode, but Rumple just found out that the author's trapped inside the illustration. Hmm. Yep, the illustration. The author's trapped in the illustration, and the sorcerer put him in there. So, and now the villains are up to speed with the heroes. Regina's using a picture of the door to kind of fool them, the villains, so that they, she doesn't, she doesn't. If she went empty-handed, she would have been caught. Emma's recapping Lily. Remember Lily from the Frozen arc? She wasn't in Frozen, but we had a flashback of her and Emma back when they were children, robbing from stores and being on their own with no family and running away from the foster system together until we found out that Lily had a mother that adopted her as a baby, and Lily didn't call it her home. She wanted to live with someone else. Anyway, Emma told Hook about that time, and yeah, I don't know what relation it has to this episode, but I told you never to forget about Lily. I told you never to forget that Frozen flashback. It's gonna pay off in just a few episodes. Not tonight, but next week. As you know, we're about halfway through this arc, and with only 2 more Sundays left to finish the season, we're gonna a lot of things I told you that would happen at the end of the season are about to happen soon. Brew. It's colder than Rich's brew. Or Witch's foot, fine. That's a random peddler on the road that Snow and Charming just ran into. Snow and Charming. The peddler told him to go find an old man. I wonder who that old man is. He told them to because they're heading off to Maleficent and to tell them about the visions with the unicorn. And this random guy on the road tells them to go a different direction than the dragon to get help from a sorcerer or apprentice of some sort. Because he's not the sorcerer, but apprentice. Uh huh. Mm-hmm. The apprentice. I wondered why the guy on the road told Snow and Charming to visit the apprentice. We saw him before when Anna was tested to go put something in his tea, and she thought he ate children. Remember? And then also Rumple trapped the apprentice inside the hat, which they still haven't freed him from. Except they freed the fairies, but they forgot to free the apprentice. So anyway, callbacks from the beginning of season 4. I just stretched and popped an arm muscle. Ow! That is not good to do while you're live. Ouch! Pop an arm muscle in public. That's what it feels like. Ouch! Should never have stretched. I was stretching very hard. Ouch! Maleficent wants to know the fate of her child, and he's asking Rumple for help. Ouch! Wow. Maleficent wants to know what happened to her child, and whatever Snow and Charming did to her, when she finds out what they did, she's gonna make them pay, just like Aurora. Mhm. See, that's what I was saying. Snow and Charming are talking about their secret again. They want to turn Emma dark, and they've been keeping a secret ever since Quilla and Ursula arrived, before Maleficent was back from the dead. And if they continue keeping their secret, they're going to end up helping the villains, turning Emma dark. Keeping secrets is not a way to keep families together. And they just found out everyone's asleep. Wow. Cruella was almost gonna want. Cruella had the idea of snapping Emma's neck, and Evil Queen stopped her. But to keep her cover, she was like, killing the savior would be unwise because they need her blood for the author's pen for the author. You know. So anyway, Henry. So the sleeping curse does not affect those who've already been under it. And since Snow and Charming have already been under the sleeping curse before, and Henry has already been under the sleeping curse, they're awake. So anyway, now they're going up to get. Yeah. If you told those heroes you were going after Belle, that would be crazy. Henry is in danger because he has the page. He went to the sorcerer's mansion after he found everyone asleep. It pays off when you've already been under a sleeping curse because then that means you can't go under again. You're off the straight and narrow by this point, Snow and Charming. They want to go take the page from Henry and destroy it so that no one will get their happy ending. Not even the heroes, not even Regina, not even anyway. Anyway, Regina, who's been wanting to find the author and find out what and help get her a happy ending. It wouldn't benefit the heroes or the villains if Snow and Charming went to burn the page. And they think Regina can get her happy ending from somewhere else. Snow and Charming, you're risking ruining a good person's happy endings to stop the villains from getting theirs. That's not right. So the apprentice has a spell that can take the darkness out of Emma. Because remember they touched the tree and found out that Emma could turn into a villain. They want to take that potential of evil from her and give her only the agency to be good. Which you should never have the idea of taking someone else's agency. Because anyway, everyone should have the right to choose between good and evil, even their own child. Snow and Charming are thinking they need another baby to transfer the darkness from Emma to, because you can't just all magic comes with a price, and you can't just send the darkness away. The price is you have to put it in another child, another baby. So they're gonna steal Maleficent's baby egg and put the darkness in that. So, oh, Henry's fine. Henry is using the book page, the illustration of the door to find the key which if he puts it under the table, it goes to a drawer that's locked. Oh, it's not locked. It can open, and the key is right inside. Now he can use that key to open the page. Just put the key in the page of the door. That is not your grandma and grandpa. That's Regina. Regina's disciplining her own son because the Queens of Darkness are watching her. He says, "Give me the page," and Henry's like, "Mom, no." Henry Daniel Mills, using his full name, and forces the page out of his hands. Now, Regina, now that's no way to treat your son. But Regina, you'll see in a second. Regina kind of gave a little like winky face to tell Henry. Remember, Emma made a fake page, but Regina refused to use it, because they would be on to her. But now, because they don't have any other choice, because the picture on her phone did not work, she's resorted to the last option, which was to give the villains a fake page of the door. And so he gave Henry the winky face, so that he can give them the fake page and get away with that. Hmm. Snow and Charming are in the middle of stealing Maleficent's egg. Maleficent caught them stealing the egg and turned into a dragon to almost burn them, but then threatened to kill their baby if they did. So Maleficent turned back into her normal self. Mother to mother, have mercy on my child. Can't lose my child. She stepped on the rattle and broke it. Snow White stepped on the rattle and broke it. And Maleficent, in motherly tears, was like, "No!" But instead of stopping them, she ended up locking herself in the cave while Snow and Charming escaped. Imagine someone stole a child from you and you couldn't do anything to stop them. Sure, you could call the police, but if they can't track this kidnapper down, how do you know you're going to see your baby alive and safe again? It's always sad. A baby ripped from a parent's arms, but that's one sad thing. But especially the mother ripped from a mother's arms, that's another sad thing. Snow and Charming went way down the dark path in their past youth days. Not youth, they were adults, but young adult age. So Henry's telling Snow and Charming that he gave Regina the fake page, and he showed Snow and Charming where the real page was, but he's taking the page. But Snow and Charming are taking the page from Henry. and the key. And is like, why are my grandparents and mother being so weird to me today? Like, so evil like. Mhm. Yeah, Snow White's just admitting it. We were harsh to Henry, forcing him to give us the real page. It's like, if you keep this up, you are no different than Rumple and his Queen of the Darkness. You're just like them, lying about Maleficent's child, about destroying the page so that no one gets their happy ending. Snow and Charming are kind of their own evil, evil couple. Like you have the heroes team, the villains team, and then you have them that are kind of playing their own little team of keeping secrets. Belle's asleep, but Rumple's trying to talk to her anyway. This is kind of funny. I don't know if she's gonna remember any of this. Plot twist: the whole truth. Something else is changing. Yep. You don't want the Cruella and Ursula to find out what you're doing. Just like Henry, Rumple has his own weaknesses of love, and he's probably kind of gone soft. Mind your own business. Do not talk about me and Belle. You'll kick me out of the team. Rumple ripped the page of the door. Whoopsie. Oof. Whoa. So what happened there was Regina came back with Paige, but they already knew it was fake. Rumple, already found out in an instant like that. He could tell that the page wasn't the same. And after realizing it with his own magic that it was a fake page, he ripped it and realized that Regina was not evil all along. And so she blew, basically now she finally blew her cover. Her secret of trying to stop them has finally come to the surface. So they knocked Regina out, kidnapped her, tying her up in her own vault. Regina has her own vault where she used to keep hearts back when she was evil. Remember, human hearts. So now they're tying her up in it. So yeah, Regina. As Emma said, these things never end well, do they? Imagine what the Queens of Darkness could do to Rumple if they found out that he had a love weakness for Belle still. In flashback, the apprentice is casting a spell to take the darkness out of Emma. There's Cruella and Ursula trying to stop Snow and Charming. Queens of Darkness. Woo. Okay, so what happened was uh the apprentice did cast the spell to take the darkness out of Emma and put it into Maleficent's child. Yep, keep Emma in the light. Well, I mean, by losing Maleficent's child, you kind of lost that guidance. They've sacrificed a child just to make theirs good. And Snow and Charming made the worst mistake they ever could on the show. They made a mother lose their child, which is not usually out of Snow and Charming's character. They're usually princesses who would never harm a child. Ever. They made a huge mistake. More lies. Snow and Charming took the page from Henry, and they're about to burn it in the fire pit. But if they did, they would lie again about it disintegrating and the key not working, which is not true. That's more lies, guys. Yeah, Regina's finally becoming family. She's becoming a good queen, not an evil queen. And you're going to pay her back for all her repenting and goodness by destroying her chance at happiness? Exactly. Snow and Charming are realizing that what they're doing is wrong. Yeah. When Snow White killed Cora, Snow White's heart. Yeah. Plot twist. Remember when Regina pulled Snow White's heart out and it was actually darkening, had evil circles in it because she killed Cora? But to be true, the real truth here is that it was dark way before Cora. Snow White just said, the good does the right thing, not what's easy. And so they're finally telling Emma the truth. And Emma's not going to take it very well. They lied to you. You are lying. Snow and Charming lied this entire time. Heartbreaking. She's acting all evil saying it, but look at her evil circles under her Emma's eyes. Oh my goodness. All for telling a secret. It may hurt, but the truth is always better than lying. Only you should have told her the truth a lot sooner, though. That's the difference here. Because they didn't tell her the truth soon enough, it's kind of too late. You were supposed to guide her, but by guiding her with secrets and lies, I said the name of a TV show. There's a TV show out there that's called Secrets and Lies. Oh, this was from the trailer. Snow White says, I'm your mother, and Emma doesn't care. It's like as almost she wants to disown them and not be their child anymore. The evil circles are starting, guys. Wow, Rumpel. You're telling Maleficent and Cruella not to kill Regina for her betrayal? Wow. He must have something really on her, something really dark on her, keep her from doing good. I don't know. Snow and Charming have Henry right now. Cool. Now Emma's not mad at Hook for keeping the secret. Yeah, true. Emma's not in the mood of listening to her parents, so they sent Hook. And Emma's like, "Yeah, you're right. I would not listen to them if they came down, so it's a good thing they sent Hook." Cinderella sent unicorns for your baby cradle. Remember the unicorns from season 1 that was supposed to be on Emma's baby crib? Turns out Cinderella sent those. A unicorn led you to ripping Maleficent's child away. Yeah, every time you try to sleep, you keep you're hearing the cries of a child that you just destroyed. None of that matters. Regina's curse, the real world, that doesn't matter anymore. Yeah, you thought you were doing something brave, and you were brave, but you weren't kind. This is what Snow White just said. We were trying to do something brave to protect our child, but you were selfish doing it. You were not kind. Snow White just admitted that we're not heroes anymore. We no longer do the right thing after what we just did. Is basically what she's saying. They still do the right thing, but after what they did, they think their sin is so bad that they can't be forgiven. Do we want to be weighed down by the secret when we raise our child? No. Redemption is possible. Snow White, they made such a bad decision. They're wondering if redemption's possible. Yes, you can earn forgiveness. That's one of the things you know for us as members of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter Day Saints, we believe is that we can earn forgiveness through the atonement of Jesus Christ. And it's kind of like, even though this is a fairy tale show, those lessons are kind of implanted in here, and in some ways. You see these heroes and villains who make mistakes, and you wonder, in real life, do we know any people who make similar mistakes? Maybe not with magic, but in real life scenarios. And can they be forgiven? You lost a child. You took a child from a mother, and let's say you lost it forever. Portals are not real, so let's say you accidentally killed the child or you left it to die or something. Do you think that parent would forgive you eventually? Maybe not right away, but somewhere in the future, if they accept the gospel, they will hopefully forgive you. Let's hope you never end up in that situation where you end up losing a child to someone. Yeah, you don't want to have that sin probably on your shoulders, but luckily for you, yeah, Maleficent's about to find out if her child is actually still alive, because we know Snow White and Charming didn't kill her; they sent her through a permanent portal. So, hmm. Maleficent. Rumpel is finally showing Maleficent. Maleficent has pain from losing her child, and Rumpel's just trying to explain that pain. Pain fades. It disappears. He's making excuses not to show her, but Maleficent's persuasion is convincing him. Maleficent doesn't even know what she had, a boy or a girl. She doesn't even know. She Maleficent needs to know what happened to her child. She wants revenge on Snow White and Charming, but before she can do that, she needs to know what happened. That's the rattle that Snow and Charming broke. Luckily, it's fixed now. This was 30 years ago, so she's not a baby anymore. Flashback, we're gonna find out what happened to her. Eh, Her name is Lilith, but they want to name her Lily. It's a girl. Plot twist! I told you. I told you needed to remember Lily from the Frozen arc. She was gonna come back in the show. She's alive, and she's Emma's old nemesis friend from childhood. Maleficent. Emma knows her. Emma knows her. Emma knows her. They were children. Maleficent found Maleficent. I wish I could tell Maleficent right now that Emma knows her. She must find her daughter. Exactly. Maybe if she finds her daughter, she won't want revenge on the Charmings anymore for taking it from her, from taking her child from her. The key. Wow. Snoring Charming's like, wait, before we let the author out, think about this. Regina wants the author, but Gold wants him too. Are we sure we're doing the right thing letting the author out? And the author could be a villain too, guys. I'm not saying he is, but I'm saying he could be a villain too. So are we doing the right thing? Are we choosing the right by letting the author out? And Emma's like, I don't care. I'm not worried about it. Are you? Emma's kind of persuading towards the dark side. Just listen to how she says her lines in the show from here on out. The author's sacred history is to and job is to record the stories of one of fairy tales. Walt Disney was once the author of Henry's book. That's a good twist. They put Walt Disney into this story. I mean, they did steal some of his Disney characters. Not all of them are his. Rumpelstiltskin's an actual fairy tale, but some of these are from Disney, like Frozen. So our last author, see, this is the problem. He might be a villain. Our last author decided to manipulate the story instead of record them. We're getting a flashback right now. Plot twist. The author forced the apprentice to cast a spell on that child, Maleficent's child. And the author thought that was a better story to send a child away. Technically, he's unworthy of this calling. He had the calling of writing all the fairy tale stories and only to record what happens, not create them. And because he had forsaken his holy duty, he got replaced and trapped inside the book. He was the last author ever written in history. Yep, he still does. The apprentice didn't take his power away, but they did stop him from being the author by trapping him in the book. Yeah, Pinocchio's even saying you went a long way from a girl to believing to a girl who wants to find answers to her happy ending. That Emma's a way different character than she was in season 1, obviously. Now they're going to let the author out. Another plot twist. Remember the peddler on the road that told Snow and Charming to go to the apprentice's house? Oh, it has the knight symbol of Snow and Charming's castle. Mhm. Snow and Charming know him. They remember him because he clearly set them on the path to destroy Maleficent's child. He's a villain, guys. Yep, and look, he's making a run for it. Emma, you should not let him out. Now you're about to turn to the dark side. This is not good. Emma's chasing after the author, but he runs into the streets and Emma loses track of him. And she stands in the middle of town square under the clock tower, wondering where the author went. Obviously. Credits are over. Yay, we're done for the night. That was a lot of intense, guys. We learned what Gold was after, turning Emma dark. We learned we also learned about how Maleficent got her dragon back and how the evil queen started her journey to the dark side in the first place, and then her going undercover to pretend to be evil after becoming good. And then we learned where the author was. We freed him, and we've as Snow and Charming have finally revealed their secret. But that wraps up for tonight's episodes, guys. So have actually now a little less than 10 minutes to do Q&A. But yeah, wow, what a lot night. I know it was kind of probably dark, but it was interesting. Snow and Charming lost a baby. They stole Maleficent's child and lost it through a portal. They did not know they were going to send that baby into a portal. So Snow and Charming have the benefit of a doubt. They didn't mean to choose the wrong. They thought they could just borrow the baby, put the darkness inside it, and then give it back, which is still wrong. Forcing the child to be evil while Emma is being good. Everyone should have their agency. When everyone's born, they are born with the light of Christ, and they get to choose between good and evil as they grow. You know. Anyway, Snow and Charming had a hard time learning that lesson, that little valuable truth, and it cost them an entire baby. So, that's the one of the worst sins you could do is the loss of a child. You steal someone's baby, you must feel bad afterwards. That probably made them feel bad for decades that followed, except the curse made them forget for 28 years about their lives. So they didn't feel guilty for 28 years because they didn't remember. But still, they must have weighed that guilt during season 2 and 3, and we just didn't know about it until it surfaced in season 4. And of course, maybe there was no reason to tell Emma because that was a long time ago. And to be honest, if there's any parents out there, um, if there was a big sin in your childhood, maybe you never told your children about it because it was a long time ago. I don't know. Children don't need to know everything about your life before being a mom or dad. Anyway, but still, when the time came to tell that secret, they should have told it. Like when Quill and Ursula came in, they should have explained how they knew these people, and told them from the start of this arc instead of keeping it a secret. That's what led Emma to choosing That's what led Emma to going on her dark path. Unfortunately, Emma didn't do anything evil yet, so I guess I'm a little far fetched to say that Emma has fallen off the straight and narrow. But she has started neglecting her parents just now. So for not telling them the truth, for not telling her the truth, not neglect. What's a good word? Not not forgiving of her parents. So anyway, she has a hard time forgiving her parents. Anyway, and it's best to turn the other cheek, but it is a big secret. And the fact that they lost a child, imagine you found out your parents, like, in real life, portals don't work. So instead of losing a child, let's say you killed a child or you left the child in the woods, you left a child alone to die in the middle of the woods or somewhere. Um, Imagine you told your own children that you did something like that once. That would probably scare them, right? You know, because that makes you from a very safe, secure parent to not being a safe parent. Because you're guilty of pre-murder or something, right? You're not. Anyway, point being, Snow and Charming messed up. The show wanted to show us that even our greatest heroes that never have been evil in their life can make the worst mistakes because we're all human. Usually, for some of us, we get away with life not making mistakes like that, losing a child. But, anyway, I'm just referencing how bad the mistake was. They didn't literally kill Maleficent's child. We found out that that child is still alive in the real world. We found out it was Emma's evil friend from childhood, right? Which we had a flashback for in the Frozen arc. I told you never to forget Lily. She was going to be important later in the show. I just didn't want to spoil how. She's Maleficent's daughter. Now you kind of know. And if only Maleficent knew, Emma knew her. Because then Maleficent could talk to Emma about finding her. I wonder if Rumple even shared that information with her. But anyway, all Maleficent wants now is her child. So, Queens of Darkness are slowly falling apart now. I mean, we're only halfway through this arc. We're not close to the. We are close to the end of the season. We are, but because this season is split into half season arcs, right? As far as this arc alone, we're only halfway through it. We're not close to the end yet. We're halfway through it. So anyway, it's a lot. It's a lot to reveal when you still have like 6 episodes left. Normally this stuff gets revealed when there's only a couple episodes left. But anyway, there's a lot more going on, I assure you. Speaking of a lot going on, there's something else so we know Gold's plan. In fact, he just revealed this last smallest piece of information to us when he was speaking to Belle in her sleep. His heart's turning black. He's done so much evil. He's made so many sins that he did not repent of. Now, this doesn't happen to people in real life, but if you're the Dark One, you know how you become evil. And, when Rumple first became the Dark One, he killed every person that tried to take away his son. Anyway, he was evil, right? Unfortunately, every magic comes with a price, including being the Dark One. If you be evil and dark for too long, your heart becomes fully black and you die. And now in the show, every time you make a sin, it causes a black hole in your heart. And that's what happened to Snow White when she killed Cora. Now, we also found out that there were multiple holes in her heart, and some of that started before she killed Cora. Snow White kept secrets, and and we know now that she also lost Maleficent's child. So that darkness started long ago, not when she killed Cora, but long ago. And I would say even longer than that, because she should have, she could have kept Regina's fiance a secret to herself. She didn't have to go behind her back. But she was a 10-year-old child, and children tend to be innocent even when they choose the wrong. So anyway, still, Snow White just has a little bit of darkness, and it doesn't happen to just anybody anyway. So it's not like if she filled it up with darkness, she would die. No. Because Regina's all black, and she survived. I mean, hers is not black anymore. I mean, I think she still has sins she needs to repent of, but Regina, the evil queen, is now the good queen. So the point being, this doesn't apply to her. This doesn't apply to anyone else. But with Rumple, every single person he's killed or every single sin he's made added a black hole in his heart, and he's done so many sins that there's not even a speck of love or red left. There's not a speck of goodness left. He's pretty much full on evil, and he only has one spot of red left, if you remember seeing in the episode. He pulled out his heart while Belle was asleep, talking to her like if she was listening, but I don't think she was. She was asleep. And showed his heart. Mainly probably for the audience's point of view, to let us know what's really going on. We found out first that Rumple was going to turn Emma dark. Well, we actually found out he wanted to find the author to rewrite happy endings. Then we found out in order to do that, he has to turn Emma dark. And now we found out Rumple's also doing all this because if he doesn't get the author to rewrite a happy ending, his heart's going to go completely black and he dies. That's the price of the dark one. You be the dark one and evil for too long, you die. Anyway, so the dark one's about to die, and he needs the author to save his life. And that completes the entire plan for the rest of season 4. Now you know every single bit of detail, except the thing. Well, this is everything. But remember what I said about villains coming back from the dead from here on out and being a little different from the past, where we just kill the villain and they never show up on the show for the rest of the show? That changes now, right? I told you that. We brought Maleficent back from season 1. Another villain is coming back next week. And it's not from the Queens of Darkness, obviously. Now, again, that's another thing we need to talk about. The Queens of Darkness are slowly dissolving because Ursula is finally not a villain anymore. She was only a villain because her father convinced Hook to take her voice away. Now we know that, she has her voice back. Her father repented and for being a bad father and wanted to get Ursula's forgiveness, and he's earned it. Ursula and her father are living happily ever after. I told you a villain was getting their happy ending tonight, and Ursula got her happy ending. So we just have Cruella and Maleficent now, honestly. And Maleficent just wants her child, so Maleficent is still working with the Queens of Darkness, but she's kind of left the pack as well. Because I've seen the show, Maleficent doesn't appear at all in episode 18 or episode 19. She's kind of fulfilled her end of the bargain, and Rumple fulfilled his end of the bargain by, which Rumple usually doesn't do. Rumple, in fact, he wasn't gonna show Maleficent her child until Maleficent said, "Okay, fine, maybe I didn't give you the author's page, but I did do other things for you that should deserve my answer." After persuading Rumple finally showed her child, right? So anyway, Maleficent is walking away from the pack, and obviously she doesn't show up in episode 18 or 19, but that's not really a spoiler. I'm just saying someone who's not going to be there for 2 episodes. But she will come back in episode 20, and you could probably guess from this point that she's kind of stepped away from the evil plot because all she cares about now is finding her daughter now that she knows that she's alive. I mean, if Rumple wanted to keep her under his leash, he should not showed her her daughter. Which she didn't even know the gender until Rumple showed her a vision of the past. Anyway, Rumple probably wanted to show her so he can stay on Maleficent's good side. But he is also immortal, so that's really no excuse. Maleficent wouldn't be able to kill Rumple anyway unless she had the dagger. But anyway, so that wraps up tonight, guys. So Ursula's out. Maleficent's not out, but she's also probably not going to be evil anymore. It is really just Maleficent and Cruella now. But I think Cruella is the only one that's still pure evil, while Maleficent is deciding whether to stick with Rumple and 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 force the author to bring back her happy ending, or maybe hopefully find her daughter by using Emma, because Emma knows her. Anyway, sorry, I need to stop talking. Anyway, so really, the Queens of Darkness are dissolving. We're really just down to Cruella and maybe Maleficent, but I would say not really. At least how I've seen the rest of the show. She doesn't really do much any evil after this. But anyway, sorry, I won't try to spoil much anything or anymore. But anyway, so yes, it's mostly pretty much the Rumple and the author arc now. It's kind of confusing because you think it's about the Queens of Darkness arc, and you think they're just going to stick around until we kill them off in the finale or something. But no, it's not like the Wicked Witch. It's not Peter Pan. It's not the Snow Queen. This is different. And because we have 3 villains to take care of, they each need their own episode anyway. So Ursula was the first one to go. So anyway, still more flashback to come for Cruella and Maleficent. But that's all we're gonna cover for tonight. So a new villain's coming next week, and and that's all I'm gonna say for now. So prepare, and not a new villain. Sorry, not a new villain. An old villain is coming back from the dead again. We're having another villain come back next week, so prepare yourselves. I might give you a little. I won't spoil anything, but I might give you a little more hints on the other 2 episodes when I send out the links. So, God be with you till we meet again. It's 8:35. We're 5 minutes overtime. We were also 5 minutes overtime. I think, was it last week or the week before? I don't know. But anyway, I'm gonna end this live stream. Usually I start YouTube first, right? I know everyone knows this, but because YouTube didn't start right away and everything, that's kind of frustrating but I did repeat myself, and I warned you I was going to repeat myself, so I'm actually not worried. But yes, we're going to still end this the way we normally do. I'm going to end Facebook first, then YouTube. So anyway, God be with you till we meet again. And yes, the Facebook one is going to be longer than the YouTube version, is what I was getting at, because YouTube didn't start first with technical problems. But anyway, still, we got the whole live stream tonight, so that's what counts. God be with you till we meet again. Bye, y'all. And until next week, goodbye to you too, YouTube. Everyone who watched on YouTube. Yeah, see, you guys are 2 hours and 41 minutes, while Facebook was 2 hours and 44 minutes. And I know I usually like to end both live streams at the same time and not talk and not save some of the talking for one. But anyway, I didn't want Facebook to know that. So anyway, you guys are the right time length. We didn't go over time. We just started late. So boom. But Facebook went overtime. All right. Bye, y'all. Okay, we actually did go a minute and a half overtime. But I'm going to stop now. Bye, y'all.